Hi everyone, welcome to Marianne's Mystic Mentions with me, Marianne. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am going to be reading for Gemini, the monthly reading of May 2025. It is here, it has come. And I gotta tell you, I feel really, really good about it. And so far the readings, okay, because the energy was showing that. It just always does. So, let me make it as simple as I can. For those that are new, I am an intuitive reader and I do get downloads and psychic hits, I like to call it, while doing my readings. So sometimes in addition to the messages that come through the tarot or the oracle or whatever divination I may be using, I have additional messages that I will mention. And it might be just for you, it can be very specific that way, and only you really know that. These are general readings, and I do have a format that I've been following, and I've got to where I'm getting these a little shorter for the month. And I have a weekly collective I do where it's more involved. I add more astrology into it, and it's a little more lengthy, but it's relaxed. And hopefully you can join me with that. I would love you to be a part of that as well. But what I do is I like to start with our chakra check. And what the chakras are, for those who've never heard of a chakra, which of course I didn't until I did, is there are many chakras within our body. I usually are mentioned because of these beautiful cards that have beautiful sayings on each chakra and the way to keep them open and alive and utilizing them to their fullest capacity, if you will. And so there are 8. And what I do is I basically, this was the one that was chosen for Taurus, which is the 3rd chakra, the sacral chakra. I just put it behind my back. Spirit wants you to know about a specific chakra for the month of May. I do it for every month. I do it for every weekly reading as well. I mentioned on Mondays. I love them. They can really help us to in beneficial ways, for sure. But sometimes they can feel stifled or a little stuck or a little blocked. So let's see what Spirit wants you to know specifically on that particular chakra. And it doesn't even have to be bad. It's the focus of May. And you have, we got this before. This was the first one too. I love this. I wasn't sure because I always have a conversation with all of the signs just before I read for them, and blue came out. Now, this is a derivative of lavender because, red and blue make lavender. But the throat chakra came very clearly through for me, and that's the energy of the blue associated with the throat chakra, okay? But this is the crown chakra. This is our ability to receive messages, whether it be through dreams or angels or spirit guides or our intuition and all the things that we're gifted with. Sometimes more potent than others, right? This is a potent time. This is a potent month. And Gemini, you're an air sign, and you love to think and create and to learn and to study and to share, and you teach extremely well. I know many, many teachers that are Geminis. And you're definitely a fun-loving sign. There's no getting around that. But yes, a lot of times it's relative with air signs, which are Aquarius, Gemini, yourself, and Libras, that you utilize your brain to let your life function in the way that works for you. Okay? So let me just read to you what it says for this wonderful, wonderful chakra, which is our crown chakra, the 7th chakra. My divine internal knowing is seamless with the creative force because it's always a co-creative aspect as a spiritual being in our bodies or temples. It's always going on, one cannot be without the other. My divine internal knowing is seamless with the creative force, love, and the intelligence of the universe. I am the essence of love personified. And love is everything, right? Now, you know how much I love purple, and I usually wear it, and I'm not ashamed, but I definitely wanted to wear red because, speaking of love, we had, oh my gosh, so many retrogrades, and May is definitely a forward-moving month. Thank goodness. And I think a lot of us started to feel that as soon as the last retrograde, which was in Venus, for what seemed like eternity, went direct. When was that? On the 12th of March? So it's been building up momentum. Venus is about, love and passion and magic and looking good, feeling good, tasting things that are great, all the wonderful senses being used. We're in Taurus season. We just had a new moon in Taurus on the 27th of April, brand new, and it's going to continue to affect us and give us those flavors and traits that the Taurus grounded energy can do, and that calming energy. After the eclipses and all of the retrogrades and all of these shadowy aspects, this is the first month that things can absolutely move forward. All the delays, everything, just no planets will be retrograde until Pluto, which I believe happens on May 4th, but that's an outer planet. And that'll be through, September-ish. It happens every year, then one by one they start to retrograde, and it's all about going inward. Pluto is about our deepest desires, our revelations, our ability to change things, as difficult as it may be, and being truthfully and completely honest with ourselves, okay? Very internally. So, but this is, love. So what I started to say was Venus is going into Aries on the 4th of May. That's what this whole thing was about. It's red, it's passion. Mars ruled Venus of Aries, as well as Mercury. So if you haven't felt powerful and recognized that Mars is now also entered into the fellow fire sign of Leo, one of the most passionate, heart-centered signs, ruled by the sun, wanting to be seen, wanting to have fun, go out, enjoy yourself, party, vacation. That's what this time is about until we enter your sun season on the 20th of May. So it's coming right up. Not to mention the fact that we have Jupiter in your sign till June 9th. So it still has some beautiful, magical, lucky energies that are working in your favor. I absolutely love it. I can only tell you that so far the readings have been, as I said, pretty spectacular. So what I do is then correlate the appropriate crystal that goes along with the chakra. And this particular crystal is the clear quartz for the crown chakra, which is what I mentioned, the 7th. They run up from the base upward. And 7 is a lucky number as well, by the way. That's a very spiritual number. And so it says wisdom, awareness, and focus. The clear quartz is I focus with clarity on my spiritual purpose. One last thing about astrology, because I do a lot more of it in the Monday collective readings. If you would like to join me, I would love to have you there. That would be awesome. What it does is I go into more depth, but I still bring up certain things because it is relative to all of us, and certainly to you as well, Gemini, okay? So I'm going to put in this wonderful clear quartz. It reminds me of what am I trying to say? Here it is. It reminds me of like a crystal ball, because you can look into it and imagine and vision and focus. And I always have one of these in my pocket when I'm doing my Reiki sessions or my massages, because it really helps me to focus on that area that's most needed for my client. And it works like a charm. So do consider investing in crystals. I like to announce and make sure that I mention certainly the ones in association with the chakras, but there's so many, and they have so many beautiful properties. So I'll set this in here, and then I'll infuse the reading with this, which will bring me even more clarity and focus for your reading. And speaking of the reading, I do change up the layouts for those that are returning and recognize it and have come back, and bless your heart for helping me and supporting me and liking this channel. It's the only way I'm going to grow, and it is free, and I honestly deeply appreciate it more than I think you realize. It means a lot to me. This is my delight and purpose. And I don't want to stop. I will do it for as long as I can. So I'll put this on. And I am using this really cool deck I got about 9 to 10 years ago now. It was bought at a really cool little shop in San Francisco. And it's called the Spiral Deck. And hence the outside little glyph there. And that's, to me, it's definitely about this circle of life and the eternal, never-ending, infinite sign, the infinity, the sign of infinity. There's a couple of tarot cards that have that sign too. It can almost represent 8 too. We're in a 9 year, but 8 is abundance, it's prosperity, it's manifestation at its best. So I have shuffled them. I'll shuffle them. I'm being asked to shuffle them just a little bit more. And what I'm doing today is going to be a 6-card layout, past, present, and future with clarifications, and then finishing with an oracle message for your wonderful month of May, which is always exciting when it becomes your sun season. And I want you to make sure, if you haven't already, it doesn't matter. It's pretty recent. It didn't happen that long ago, but it will affect us for a long time. This new moon, any new moon, is great for writing out your intentions and your deepest desires for the month ahead or longer. And what's really cool is that the 2 lunations happening in May, the first one is the full moon in Scorpio, which is very intense, but it's also it can be very spiritual. It can be very much about transformation, of course, and psychic abilities and intuition heightened. And then the new moon is in your sign, Gemini. It's on the 26th. So you'll be well into your sun season solar return. And you can really write down what you want to have happen for the remainder of this whole year, okay? And know that when Jupiter changes signs and goes into Cancer on June 9th, that goes in your 2nd house. That's about money. That's about resources. That's about worth and value and what you put in your mouth and how you see yourself. And it's just going to expand and grow in all sorts of amazing, magical ways. So I will lay out the cards and do my best to describe and explain to you what the meanings there are within, and hope that you resonate. But if you don't, do know that it's so important that you not only watch for your sun sign, your moon, your rising, your definite Venus, and I say Mercury because you're ruled by Mercury, Gemini, and that is about our communication. So both Venus and Mercury will be going into Aries. And what I will tell you is that the element of Aries is fire, and the element of you, Gemini, is air. And that is one of the most compatible, beautiful, easier, less, challenging energies that can happen. That's going to continue for a long time now. There was a lot more water and earth, which is also extremely compatible. We all can get along and all that, true, but some are just better than others, and we know what that's like. We can work with everything. And certainly you're very versatile, you're very open, you're very, you're very sociable and friendly and kind, and you accept all things. So I love that for you. I had to do that for some reason. I was asked. And so, yeah, I went back to this blue and feeling when I had the conversation with you, Gemini. There was something that you wanted to say or you need to say, or that perhaps you will be speaking more than you had in the previous months. And the cards will certainly reveal that as well. That's about blessing and putting a little meditation in the throat chakra area. Interestingly enough, though, we're in the Taurus season, and Taurus does represent the throat as well. So that is the physical trait that we all have something of, and that is the one for Taurus. So starting from your recent past, you have justice. Woo! I don't know about you, but I, as a Libra, your fellow air sign, with 4 planets in Libra, I love seeing this come up. It's tough when you're Libra and you want justice, and we're not in a world that necessarily recognizes that in a lot of ways, although it can and it does, and you have to stay strong and trust that, the best outcomes do come about, and most of the time they do, and I really fully believe that. But there are times when it's just literally not fair, and you know that, and so seeing justice means that something's occurred or will be occurring very soon. If not, this is your recent past, that will definitely indicate you are being justified. You are winning a court case. You are winning maybe, some kind of lottery or some kind of game of chance, if you will. I mean, I'm not suggesting you do that. It's just another meaning for the card. But it is a major arcana, and a lot of times this is such a gratifying card to see, because it can be tough sometimes. Maybe it's in your work environment. Maybe you have applied for work over and over in these last few months where nothing was moving and you felt doomed. You're going to be noticed. This is changing. You've got that magical part of Jupiter still at the tail end, which I think gets even more powerful. Remember, you heard it here, okay? Now, obviously, this is entertaining and it's not an absolute, but boy, a lot of times it's really, really accurate. So I would love you to share with me either way how that works. Confirming that or clarifying that, we have the Chariot. Wow, the card that represents Cancer, another major arcana. This is movement. This is success and victory. So once again, this stalling, this perpetual retrograde motion of mud and quicksand, and when is it going to go forward? It's now. And it's through definitely June until we start seeing some of the shadow and feeling some of the shadow aspects of Mercury. But we won't talk about that now, okay? But this is no time like the present to just keep your actions straightforward. Know what your plan is, write it down. You have that new intentions of Taurus moon. Now you've got the new one happening on your, the 26th in your solar return season. Magic and gifts, okay? Positivity, travel. Definitely travel plans. Where are you going? Something having to do with the car. Are you wanting to invest in a new car? Cars are essential. They still are. I love to walk. I do as much as I can. And luckily, I live in an environment, in a community where I can walk a lot of places. I could actually walk to work. It's just a little hard at the end of the day, so I haven't. But when it's nicer weather, of course, it makes sense to do so, right? It's great for the environment. It's great for your body. So for the present energy, Geminis, we had the moon. Well, unlike anyone else, the moon, whether it was the full moon, which it looks like it was, this new moon in Taurus, Venus ruled, it has a lot to do with your emotions. It was maybe some things were still not quite clear and a little bit nebulous, right? The moon will do that. You still have a couple of questions unanswered. But I can almost promise you, by the full moon on the 12th of May, which is a culmination, the full moons represent culminations, right? I think you're deep searching in Scorpio, because they are the detectives of the zodiac. You're going to find out what you need to find out the answers, okay? And I know you will, and I know that you want that, and I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's anything. I'm not putting any connotation on that. I'm just saying that you will most likely have the answers. If not everything is completely clear, that can change, okay? And ask for that. Ask for those answers, because I know what that's like. Things can be great, but there's just a couple of things, in the background of your subconscious and so forth, where you're just like, I need to know. And so just ask and you shall receive in some form, but we'll see what the rest of the reading has to say about that. Then you have the clarification, which is the Seven of Swords. Okay, yeah, boy, I'll tell you what, as a reader and someone who listens and obviously watches other readers, this has been very prominent. I know why it has been in my life. It's so incredibly accurate. And it wasn't pleasant to see, because this definitely can demonstrate deception, someone trying to pull the wool over your eyes. But what I loved, and what the definition I heard more recently, there's so many different ways to explain a card, because it has positive and negative, but also it's just a message, okay? It's what's happening to you personally. It doesn't mean it has to be absolutely that way. It could be us kidding ourselves, thinking we don't know something, thinking we're the moon is obscuring our vision and our knowing. You absolutely do know when you're sitting quiet and you ask and you listen. Listen, I have to mention that we have the new set of eclipses that we're still kind of reeling from. I mean, the energy's certainly calmed down. And I feel that. I hope you do too. It can be very electrifying and very like this thing, you feel like you've had 5 cups of coffee and you've had 1. You're just like, what's going on right now, Well, that's what it is. It's very, very strong energies. And the North Node eclipse is now in Pisces. The South is in Virgo. They're always the polar oppositional signs. And we learn from each other when we're opposite. We guide and we help each other. North is where we want to go. South is what we want to release, right? Well, it's in Pisces in the North Node. That's the positive. That's the energies of intuition and knowing and utilizing our gifts of those magical powers we have. being very, very truthful and authentic with ourselves. What is it we want? Who is it we're being allowed to be persuaded by or fooled by? We are absolutely in charge of that. We're not in charge of everything, and we don't have control over everything, certainly not outside of ourselves. But when something is so blatantly obvious, like this card tends to be, where there's a person trying to steal some swords and he's just a couple and he's got this fox who's trying to think he's real sly, right? It's kind of the known trait for a lot of foxes. Sly as a fox is a saying. Yeah, you're being seen. In fact, there's very little you can do in this world now where someone hasn't captured it in some way, right? Interesting in that regard too. But I would say mostly it can also be a new strategy and a new way to do things, so you don't get caught up and you learn the lessons that have held you back. Holding my hand up saying, at this point in my life, and I'm mid into my 60s, still trying to learn that. The one question I didn't ask was the very one that came up for me in this realm. So it's okay though, because it is a lesson and we absolutely can learn, or we can just keep repeating the same thing. But mostly and importantly, it's the emotional part that allows us to just be truthful, don't go crazy when it comes to our thoughts and be too caught up in them, like, what does they call it? Analysis paralysis as an air sign. So yeah, the moon and this being here, you know more than you're giving yourself credit for, okay? That's the present time. Let's see what the future has to say, because the justice is there and the chariot of moving forward and past certain things is what I'm picking up on. Then you have the Seven of Wands, of course. You've had this certain predicament. You've had this come up, whether it's your health or whatever it is. It's so many categories, I can't say. Only you know that, but the Seven of Swords is about defending and standing up and strong for yourself. Now, if I didn't say it because I was doing a fair amount of readings, Mars in Leo is a very powerful, confident, straightforward, like passionate, heart-centered, this is the way it's going to be. Sun-ruled, right? Just energetic. And this is, I want to be seen, I want to be heard. And I did mention it now that I'm thinking about it, because it's a fun time too. It's about getting out and being around and networking, like I said to you earlier. You're on top of it. You are on top. You're looking down, not literally, but you're not looking down on people, but you're like, this is my stance, if you will. And I'm sticking with it because I've given it a lot of thought and I've been fair and I've done the right things and I'm confident that I'm doing the right thing. All right. And that's so important. So just keep that in mind. And clarifying that, you've got the Seven of Cups, 2 sevens. Sevens is about contemplation when it's the cups. Sevens is about a multitude of choices. The cups are the water signs, the Pisces, the Cancers, the Scorpios. I mentioned the full moon Scorpio happening. It's definitely feeling, it's definitely I started to say psychotic. Don't mean to say that. I mean to say you never want to get to that place, number one, because that is emotions as well. That's our mind, and the sensitivities that we can bring in through dreams and so forth. Depending on what we're listening to and watching are very, very important, I'm being told to tell you. But 7 is about choices. Almost too many, right? Maybe consider half. It's not as confusing. It's not as, it's almost too much. So we want to modify the choices, narrow down. In other depictions of this card, there's like good cups and there's not such great cups. Remember, the people and the circumstances we hang out with is what ends up affecting us and what we can become. So I don't know. I like that though a lot. So you're standing strong. You're not necessarily grateful about what's happening in this moment. I shouldn't say grateful. You're not necessarily jiving with the energies that you're around. So now you're saying, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do something about that. And then you ask the universe for ways to change and how you can be helped in that way, as long as it's just authentic and you're coming from a great place. Because I see a change for sure. And I see a real revelation within yourself of knowing the truth about what can happen from now on and what must not happen. Okay, and I hope that makes sense for you. I think it's so beautiful because it's very, very topical with a lot of the energies, like I said, but the justice is the one to really hold on tight to, and to know that, you know, the moon is actually also about us using our gifts of intuition and just being still and going into nature, recognizing things that are right in front of us. And as hard as it can be for confrontation, sometimes things need to be said, and that'll be so much better. You'll feel so much clearer. And making the change you need to make, okay? And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for any step you take. It'll always be your choice. And let's finish with some oracle messages, okay, Gemini? And what else can I say to you? I just, once again, appreciate your time. It's valuable. Everyone's time is valuable. And I feel like there's time that you really want to spend with people close to you right now. I do. I really do. I feel like that's predominance right now. And that does have a lot to do with the Chariot as well, because it is a Cancer sign. And they are notoriously known for wanting to be with the more familiar people and circumstances, being in their home and, you know, and making it the most cozy and the most livable and lovable. So for the 3 oracle messages to finish this reading, you have, from the beautiful Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed, is, oh gosh, this is so perfect. Deep knowing. I said that, you know, you have this incredible intuition. The moon can be about confusion, but it's also about really knowing exactly what we know. Seeing it right there in front of us, and then actually doing something about it. You know, the Mars in Leo, it will make us more confident. If you're not normally someone that wants to stand up for yourself, oh, it will happen. It will definitely happen. And it's going to feel great. So yes, deep knowing, that's 43. That's another 7. You've got a star, you've got the moon, you've got both moons. Wow. Interesting. And the owl of wisdom. You have a lot of wisdom. You're an intelligent sign. I brought that up earlier. You're very cerebral because you love to learn and you love to express and you love to teach and share the wisdom and wealth. So then we have the second card, which is serendipity. That's right, Jupiter all the while, and also because your birthday season's coming. Write a list of things you want. They say you can ask for up to 10 and they can happen and manifest. Honestly, I know a lot of Geminis, and they've been really lucky in a lot of ways that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Right time, right place, expansion of things that you want to have grow. It's a beautiful thing. You deserve it. You know, it only comes into your sign every 12 years, so utilize it. Whatever has happened is going to affect you for the next 12. But use it while it's here, and know that it'll come back again in 12 years if you're in that time frame of your life. And then last but not least, we have, I know there's 2 together here, which isn't the end of the world, but what is this one? Oh my goodness. We have peace. Taurus season is definitely a peaceful time, and I felt the peace. I felt when the new moon happened, I thought, wow, this feels really good. Perhaps you can fully relate to that. And I hope you can, and I hope you find peace throughout the month and onward, you know, with your birthday and the new solar year, and just writing that out as to what you want to see for this year, you know, what you want to create and allow, and be the best receiver. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you again. Once again, do like and help me subscribe by subscribing, because that's going to help me to grow. And I have a $500, what do I say? No money involved, folks. No, I have a goal of 500 subscribers, and I'm very, very close. I can almost taste it. So you could be really helpful in that. But honestly, no pressure, truly. There's no cost. It's just, it's a divine act of compassion and support that I love. And I just want to let you know that for those that are and have been, and I appreciate you. Enjoy a beautiful month until June, or maybe Monday for the collective. Bye for now.